I see a lot of people are in the chat already. I may have put the wrong time. That's true, Frank. I'm sorry. I must have messed up. Sorry about that. But now we're here. It's just my mistake. I didn't realize I had put it in at 4:33 p.m. until now. So there's Cassie. There's Sandy. Yep, I just made a mistake. Javi, you're right. Hello, Kevin and Mark. And 503. Random T. Oh, sorry about the mangoes, Frank. Love mangoes, but that is a problem sometimes. Oh, 503. Sorry to hear about the fruit flies. I know that can go. And there's Mantis God. You made it back. Good. And Arachnoboss, welcome. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. There's Corvus. Corvus music. Excellent. Great on camera during virtual evaluation step. Those fruit flies there. Awesome. Allie here. Allie Harding. And yeah, we're back. You see the little garter up on the top right there, emerging from the humid hide. There's Sean Meister. Kind of waiting for the snakes to warm up just a little bit. There's Joe's 20. Hello. Yeah, we're going to get a good look at them pretty soon here. When they come out to eat, they're excited about that part. They never they're not too shy about that, as long as, you know, they don't not seeing things coming at them from above. You can see a lot of them starting to poke out now. Well, a few of them anyway, poking out. I'm about to put the food down. Oh, Sandy's hand feeding newborn baby blue tongues. That is an experience I hope to have at some point. I do love blue tongues. I really do. I think they would be a cool skink to keep. I've never really kept any skinks, but I would love to keep blue tongues someday. And there's the food. Yeah, there's synchronized babies. Yeah, that's right, Random T. And don't worry if you can't see a water dish in here. I took the water dish out a little while ago because if I move the enclosure with the water dish in it, I splash it all over and it lands on the paper towels and I have to redo everything. And I just cleaned out this enclosure yesterday with chlorhexidine and all that, so I don't want to have to do it right away again. So, so Kevin, yeah, the garter stew there is a mix of earthworms, pinkies, and a little bit of silver sides, so that the snakes are getting a variety, and so they're more accustomed to different types of food when they go to new homes. So this silver side type that I'm using, it's the San Francisco Bay brand, which is thiominase free, so it's safe for snakes to eat as a staple, one of the staple food items. I wouldn't give them just that, but you can give it to them frequently without worrying about thiamine deficiency. So 503, your fire skink sits on the desk, but just comes out to eat when you leave. Oh, that's the worst. I think we're about to get one to take a bite. They're very competitive. When they see one eating, they always want to take the food from the other's mouth. It's kind of funny. So Mark, you're not seeing many garters for sale. Oh, here's the first bite. Check it out. Boom! Called it. It's going to sit there for a second and make sure it's dead, I guess. I'm going to zoom in just a touch as the second one comes in to take a bite. Not going to be long. First one's going after another bite, and here comes the second and third one. Which one's going to be first? The one in the middle or the one on the edge? Oh, the one on almost simultaneous. 3 snakes taking a bite at the same time. That's kind of fun. So, Arachnoboss breeding Peter's banded skinks. Those are awesome too. So, McGee. Oh, you got the scabers from me recently, and they already had Monkai. That's awesome. 3 litters of Monkai. So cool. Yeah, I love the idea of fire skinks too. Skinks in general I'm really interested in, of course. Emerald tree skinks. Having met Clint's emerald tree skinks probably, I don't know, many times, and enjoyed their company. I'm a big fan of those as well. So, oh, I had the the chat turned down. And arthropod ambassadors, hey, welcome. And me too. I just love communal things, and when you can keep them with their siblings, I think that's super awesome. I think we're going to get a lot of garters coming out in a little while. There's 13 or 14 in here in this bin. And after this bin is done, we'll try the next bin and see what we can get there. If we have enough time, we'll see. Okay, I'm just catching up with the chat. Oh, awesome. Glad your colonies are doing so well, Arachno Boss. How big is the tub? I don't remember the dimensions of this one, but I can give you a sort of a general thing. It's about 16 inches at the longest dimension, probably closer to 12 in a shorter dimension. Oh, and there's my temp gun. I was wondering where the heck that was. I lost it, and I found it again just now. Okay. And let's see. And Kevin, I know what you mean about feeding the garters separately. I have to either feed them individually with tongs for the adults. For the babies, I'm usually okay. I do watch them, but I've had them bite onto each other's faces. They usually let go after a second, but I've had to separate a couple. But that's why I make this food such fine particles, because occasionally you see like one is trying to grab the other because that's a bigger piece. Usually they're okay. They'll fight over the bigger pieces though. And I have to be really careful with my adult garters so that they don't fight over food as well. Very much so. And Arachno Boss. Yes, you do need a few of these. They're super awesome. Jeremy DePrisco, what species were you working with? Because some species of garters are a lot more cannibalistic than others. I've heard, for example, Thamnophis terrestris elegans, I think it is, the wandering garter, tends to be a lot more cannibalistic among the garters. So 503, my friend just saw a lock in her emerald skink enclosure. Awesome. Gonna get some babies soon, hopefully. And thank you, Cindy. They are super cute, aren't they? I hope they come back out again. I'm sure they will. Only a few of them have eaten. I can see, I don't know if you can see in the bottom right, in the hide there, there's a bunch of them sticking out. I might move things around a little bit so that it's easier for them to reach. If I take this piece of wood out, nobody's really hiding under it. It's just kind of, it's enrichment for climbing and whatnot. That might get some people going, some garter snake going. And random tea. These are sugar packets, yep. The black hides are little sugar packet holders. I got the idea from Emily at Snake Discovery, and I've been using them for a good while now. Ooh, breeding tegus, Arachnobos, that'd be cool. And ball python time crossing with bloods. Ooh, I've never heard of that I know of. That's pretty interesting. Uh-oh. Somebody has a little fight going on. Might have to break something up. I don't know if you even heard that. Oh, yep. Got a little bit of a fight going on. Somebody swallowed somebody else's face. There. Usually it doesn't result in any serious damage, but I do have to separate them once in a while. So garters aren't even legal in Oregon either? And Javi, great quote. When you're new with a head, the world can be a scary place. I do love that Clint Reptiles quote. And Sandy, I hope you can get some of Ruby's babies next year. I'm hoping to, trying to decide if I'm going to have her breed next year or not, but probably. We'll see. I think so. I might give her a rest that year after that, though. We'll see. Oh, young lad is here. Great. Yeah, Kevin, they definitely get a bunch of it all over the paper towel, so I have to clean it up pretty soon after I feed them. Okay. Rubber boas were illegal, okay. I've heard that rubber boas are illegal in some parts of the range. I can't remember if they're illegal here or not. I can't remember. They have them here, but I don't know if you can do that. You know, one thing that I've noticed about raising little garters and raising large numbers of little garters as opposed to raising just 2 or 3, it's really easy to feed 2 or 3 garter snakes when they're little. It's a little bit more complicated to feed a lot more of them, partly because individually feeding, 3 is easy. Individually feeding 28 or so is not. How long are those babies at this point? Good guess. Your guess is as good as mine. Good guess. What I mean is your guess is as good as mine. Probably somewhere between 6 and 8 inches, I'm thinking. Really pretty tiny still. And they've done some growing. Oh, now we're going to get another feeding frenzy from another group that hadn't had as much before. I'm glad they're good eaters. This group is a really good group as far as eating goes. I'm not having a lot of trouble with them. Last time, most of mine did really well, but a few of them were really picky, and they're not being as picky. And I don't know if that is due to the fact that I'm mixing silver sides into their food some, or what, I don't really know. But they're doing really, really well as far as good appetites. No, look at all these snakes eating. So cool. I'm going to see if I can change the so that the snakes are actually eating right in the middle of the enclosure and the focus. Does that look any better? How's that? Yeah, garters technically can be considered venomous. Of course, it's very mild venom, but I've seen pictures of the rear fangs, the maxillary fangs, is that what they call them? Something like that. They are distinct. You can see them if the snake has its mouth open at the right angle, and you can see them. But the venom is pretty inoffensive to humans. So it's kind of funny that they would make a rule about that. Technically, a person could be allergic to it or something, but it's basically effective against amphibians and inverts and stuff like that. About albino checkered garters, yeah, those are really awesome. I think some of my favorites, besides, there's the wild types that I really like. I think the Cali red sideds, the Oregon red spots, and the San Franciscos are some of my favorites. But also the coast high reds and the wild types are really nice. And as far as cultivated varieties, my favorites are the erythristic flames and the melanistics. But I do love them all. If I could get a leucistic garter, I think that would be super awesome too. And why does one of them look like it's got a rock stuck in its throat? I'm just swallowing a big chunk probably. And thank you, Mantis God and Frank, for the reminder about the like spike. We do need to get a like spike going. Every time you hit a like, someone else gets notified of the stream, and hopefully we'll pop in and take a look. Have you subscribed to the USARG YouTube channel? I have. We got some fairly good news pretty recently, and I posted about it. There's some Some people are working in our corner in those meetings. Oh, axanthics are nice too. Really, garter snakes are a little bit like horses. It's hard to find an ugly one. Yeah, they have Garrett Hartle doing, he's kind of the spokesperson on the US Art channel a lot of the time, and I like what he's doing. I think it's great. I would love to get Phil Goss or Garrett or somebody on the channel and talk more about US Arc and kind of spread the word a little bit more. I know a lot of you on the channel know what US Arc is, but not everybody does. So I think that would be really useful. Wow, we got a spaghetti pile going on, don't we? It's kind of fun. I was kind of afraid that I wasn't going to be giving them enough food. Or that I was giving them too much. I think we're going to be okay. And yeah, two of the factors that I love about garters is their personality and the communality of them, the fact that you can keep them communally. But yeah, I am excited about the morphs, and I have some plans for the future with the morphs at some point. I am going to look into that. Yeah, I think one good thing about how they have Garrett Hartle doing that is that he's one of those persons who, one of those people who knows what the full impact that some of these nasty regulations that people are trying to sneak in would have, because it's his livelihood. Reach out reptiles, right? As far as I understand it, anyway, it's his livelihood, and so he knows what kind of effects it would have if we'd have some stupid regulations shut down our pets. So I love African house snakes. I almost bought a black African house snake. When was it? 2 or 3 years ago at an expo. I was that close. I kind of wish I had. Someday I want some melanistic black house snakes. They are amazing. Yep, amels. Yeah, our corn snake is, I think, hypomelanistic. Sorry, and he's pretty gorgeous, I must say. And I agree, arthropod ambassadors. I have made donations to US Arc. I actually need to join. I haven't joined yet, but I'm planning on it. I need to do it because donations are helpful, but being a member shows that you have the numbers that US Art can leverage and say we have X number of members. So I think it is very important. I need to do it. So Kevin, you're finding the high red easterns on one side of the county and the greens on the other. That's pretty cool. Palmettos, do love the palmettos. They're a leucistic expression, I think. Pretty fantastic. T-positive albino African house snake. Cool. Hey, Wally, welcome. I am doing so much better. Thank you for asking. There's no comparison to how I was feeling last week, and I was feeling even worse the week before that. So I'm doing so much better. A little tired, but so much improvement. I'll take it. So, Javi, the U.S. Arc fights against all the stupid regulations that happen. Any kind of regulation that could impact our freedoms as pet keepers and breeders and that kind of stuff, U.S. Arc is looking for those and actively trying to fight them. Now, when a country or a state or a city or whatever it happens to be has regulations that have already been in place for a while, like it sounds like New York City has, it's harder for them to fight them. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's a lot harder to do it when it's already in place. But they're actively looking for things like that, and they do look on the state level and so on, not just at the federal level, because anything that happens at the state level can eventually, be copied by other states, and it can also be copied on the federal level. And so they are definitely fighting things like that. Yes. And yes, Kevin, that is indeed the issue, was indeed the issue. Yeah, I'm doing okay, that I'm back to mostly to normal life, just really tired. But at least I can function now. It's just me. I love how garter snakes, many times even the wild ones, will calm down pretty fast. And it depends on the individual, it depends on the species and whatnot, but I've seen that a lot too. And I love it. I have been working with a pair of garters that I'll be showing on the channel at some point soon, that I got a while ago, but they went into quarantine and I wasn't handling them much during that quarantine, of course. And then it was time to brumate, and wasn't handling them much during brumation. And then I woke them up, of course, in February. And now I've been handling them. They're really calming down, which is awesome. Actually, Wally, I had a lot of different symptoms, but not that one. I didn't have any issues with taste or smell, fortunately. Oh, you know what, 503? I couldn't agree more with you. I would have one of every snake if I had room. Or multiples of every snake if I had room. There's so many snakes that I look at and I'm like, yep, need that one. Yep, I need it. And I can't get them all, but I just love them. I want a Hog Island boa, for one of the 4,000 different snakes that I want. And I think it was Ray Eileen that asked if we could see some invertebrates. Looks like the snakes are sort of starting to calm down in this bin. So what I want to do, I'm going to move these garters out of the way in just a minute, but I want to show you one of my new friends here. Got this at the expo from Lannybugs. They had a table right across the way from ours, and I was so excited to see that they had these little guys. Well, this is the little gal. Hopefully I can get it to focus. And I know Arthropod Ambassadors knows exactly what this is. Probably a lot of the others know exactly too. Yep, Arthropod Ambassadors was right on top of that. Picked up this little ghost mantis female. She has already molted twice since the expo. Was very, very tiny when we first got her. She's doing super well. Just hardened up from molting and took her first meal today. She molted, I want to say, was it Monday or Sunday? I don't know. But has been doing extremely great. I'm loving them. They are so awesome. Fantastically gorgeous little creatures, really engaging. Super easy too, so far. I mean, one of the more easy mantids that I've kept. I've had a few different species of mantids over time, and I love them. Oh, they live a lot longer than 2 weeks, but they don't live a long time. No mantis does. That's the main downside of keeping them. Ooh, a cat-eyed mantis. I would love that too. Totally. Would absolutely adore that. So far this little lady has been on Heidi-eye fruit flies and fine with it. I do have tons of banded crickets. I'm raising them. I got hundreds of them. So when she gets a little bigger, I might try some banded crickets. If I can, I'll probably have to put her in a temporary feeding container, something that's low enough down that she can do that. But really, really fascinating little creatures. I wish I could focus better on her. That's not bad right there, is it? Does that look okay? Yeah, good advice. Thank you, arthropod ambassadors. Keep her humid. I've been trying to do that. I'm using the paper towel method currently, but I have a bioactive. I want to put her in when she gets a little bigger, and I'll try to do that. Try to keep her humid because I love the color. So the girls can really live up to 2 years. I was told, I think it was a little less. So I'm all over that. That's awesome. I knew they were one of the longer lived mantids, but I was thinking like 1.5 years. So super cool. So right now her enclosure, sorry, let me get it. Right now it's really simple. It's just this. It's a well ventilated enclosure with paper towel on the bottom, and she's got this well ventilated lid that she can grip. But let me show you something I'm contemplating. I have a couple of different enclosure options for her when she gets a little bigger, and now that she's hardened up, I think I'm going to put her in a taller deli cup, honestly, because I don't think she's going to have enough space to molt in this deli cup. The 16 ounce, I don't think it's quite deep enough, so I'm going to put her in a 32. But, ooh, Mr. and Mrs. Morelia just sent a super chat. Thank you. I appreciate that for the Garter Feeding Fund. They do eat a lot. It goes fast. So, definitely appreciate that. And when I have to buy things like night crawlers and pinkies and silver sides, it adds up. It adds up pretty fast. So very much appreciated. Let me show you some of the enclosures I've got here. Probably going to scare the garters a little bit. There's this one. I'm thinking of putting her in here. It's got screen sewn into the top, so she'd have something to hang under, onto. The only thing is I don't have any screen on the side, and I think I need to put screen on the side. What do you think, arthropod ambassadors? Another enclosure is this big fat FIDS enclosure. Thinking about doing this. This is already bioactive. It's got live plants in it and so on. And on the top it's got this screen, and then on the side, in the back, I don't know if I can make that work, but it's also got one on the side, so she could climb on that or something. So if you have a suggestion about which one of those enclosures might be better for the mantis as she gets older, I'd really appreciate it. So Kevin, it sounds like your enclosure is a little similar to some of mine. Awesome. And constant humidity. Yeah, so humidity spikes are good, but not necessarily. Oh, peanut beetles for the mantis. Yeah. Do they eat the adult beetles or just the larvae, Wally? Oh, we got another super chat from Random T. Teeny party party hats for their birthday. Cool. They're exactly, let's see, how old are they now? 15 days old. And Javi's Silverside is a fish. The Silverside sold by San Francisco Bay brand are thiominase free. Thiominase is really dangerous for garters if they get too much of it. It's an enzyme that destroys the vitamin B thiamine. And so if they get too much thiominase, it will destroy all the thiamine in their diet if they get it too frequently. And then they get a deficiency, which causes neurological damage and eventually death. If they only get it occasionally, like you feed a thiominase-based fish, say once a month or something, and then they have thiamine in their other foods, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if you have a steady diet that contains thiominase, that's bad news. So, oh, there's Emmeline here. Excellent. So arthropod ambassador said the species can climb smooth, so don't need it, but would use it. I think I remember that from your care sheet now that you mentioned that. I did look up your care sheet on this species because I know you have good stuff there. So anybody who hasn't checked out arthropod ambassador's care sheets should do that. I'm going to put these garters back, and I'm going to get somebody else out. Well, I'm going to get the other babies out. We'll feed them. And then maybe somebody else after they have had a chance to eat a bit. I think they're going to be pretty excited about this. The others seemed pretty excited about their food, so they're going to make a royal mess in that bin, like Kevin was saying. Sorry, it's a little, the space is a little tight here that I'm working with. But take this enrichment log out and grab the food. Let's see what we can do here. I just fed the adults too today. They got larger chunks of things, obviously. They got silver sides, they got earthworms, and they got mice of various appropriate sizes depending on the individual. Okay, I'm just going to remove the hides for a minute, and that usually kind of gets them going. And let's see. Okay, so Wally's tried the worms for the mantids. Interesting. I kind of want to try those. Cross ventilation. Make sure the feeders don't get loose in the enclosure. They can find the mantis to kill it during the moat, especially crickets. Okay, cool. Mantises without claws. Bioactive scorpion enclosure. My Asian forest scorpion is in a simple bioactive enclosure, meaning the substrate has isopods and springtails living in it. There's no plants or anything. And hobby, do I have some pet fish? Yes, I do. I have goldfish. I have endlers. Let's see. I think goldfish and endlers are the only fish I have right now. But I do have those. Yep. And let's see. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. Did I miss a donation? I'm hoping I caught everything. I think I missed some stuff. And Kevin, I couldn't agree more. You do have to be really careful when you buy silver sides, because there are a lot of species of fish that are referred to as silver sides, and some of them have diamondates and some of them don't. So I did quite a bit of research to determine that Sally's is careful to, they've used 2 different species that I know of, but they are safe because they are both thiaminase-free fish. One of them it's called like Menidia, I think, and the other one, I can't remember the name right now, but you have to be pretty careful about that. It's a good point. The enrichment log. I love it, Emmeline. Yeah, and I love the San Francisco Bay brand of the silver sides. That's the one that I use. Really? Arthropod ambassadors. The black soldier fly larvae seem to cause problems. And Supreme Gecko. Yeah, I ended up selling the multis, sold off the whole tank to someone local here. I needed space for our corn snake upgrade, and that's what I ended up doing. It still bugs me sometimes that I did it, but I love multis. But I have received couple of messages, including one video from the guy saying that they're doing really well, and it showed me the video, and they're thriving. So he even upgraded their tank to a larger tank. So they're in a 40 breeder, a 75. I don't remember what he said. I had mine in 29, and so they're probably living it up. And Frank, I agree. I love endlers more than fancy guppies for sure. So Amber Newcomb, thank you so much. I'm glad that you got into the isopod hobby, that I've helped you, and I appreciate the feeding fund donation. That's awesome. Arachnoboss, you've got the African cichlids too, huh? I love African cichlids. I've had several different types, including not just multis, but I've had the Mbuna and a couple of other types too. Fun stuff. Let's see. How big is the corn snake enclosure? He is in 40. It's approximately a 40 gallon, but it's not. It's actually made by a guy named Jordan who makes Instinct Habitats, and he built it. It's a really cool material. I'm actually going to be doing a video on it because it's kind of like a PVC enclosure, but it's lightweight. It's a much more lightweight than a PVC enclosure, but it's a super cool enclosure, and it's got I've got a what do you call them? A dimmable halogen lamp on a dimmer, and he's got a basking rock and everything. He loves it, and it's got a shelf in there, and he's having fun. So oh, Emmeline, yeah, the endlers are pretty adaptable, and if it's stable a bit higher than neutral, I think that's fine. And thank you, Monica. They are cute little guys, aren't they? An Arachnoboss. That is awesome. Anything helps. Anything and everything helps. The way I put it into perspective sometime for people, if just 1/10 of my subscribers, which would be about 55,000, sorry, 5,500 people, a little over 5,000 people, did just $1 a month on Patreon, I could do Aquarimax Pets full time, and it would be awesome. So every little bit totally helps. And Bree, thank you. And Mr. Ch, I'm not sure how to say your name, but welcome. Both you and Emmeline are asking what the garters are eating. They are eating garter stew, which is made of 3 different ingredients. One ingredient is chopped night crawlers. One ingredient is chopped pinkies, and the other ingredient is chopped silver sides. I would say it's an almost, in this particular formulation that I'm using today, it's almost 50%, it's probably something like 47% pinkies, 47% night crawlers, and 6% silver sides. That's approximate, but right around there. Don't you love it when they yawn when they're eating? So iBugman, I still do a live stream every Wednesday. I just took a break for 2 weeks because I was sick. So I'm back into it now. Oh, we've got a pretzel going on there. Okay, thank you for undoing the pretzel. We've got some good super chats going on today. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So, Yucky Ducky, welcome. And I'm going to make sure I avoid black soldier fly larvae with my mantis. I don't think I've ever tried them with my mantis, but that's scary news. I haven't done much with black soldier flies at all. Have I even ever used them? I'm trying to think if I ever have. So Emmeline, I do have to untangle them when they both grab the same food sometimes, but other than that, not really. Other than that, they do fine. And Arachnoboss, we'll see. I really appreciate you sending anything. It's awesome. And I will hopefully have a couple left. And if I don't, I have good news. I have another gravid female. So not the same species, but I have another gravid female garter. And she's a younger one, so she probably won't have as many. But if you miss out on this litter, maybe you can get in on the next one. That will be this year. I mean, she's probably going to have babies within a few weeks. So, so Monica, how big will these garter snakes get? Well, to give you an idea, their mother, who is about 3 years old, is just shy of 40 inches. She's like 39.8 inches or something like that. And, you know, garters never stop growing completely, so she'll get a little bigger than that. Not a lot bigger, but 40 inches long. Is pretty decent for a garter of this species. There are different garter species, some get bigger than others, but for red-sideds, 40 is actually above average. And actually the males are a lot smaller, of course, but they are above average too. They're both, I have it written down, I just measured them the other day. I want to say they're close to 30 inches, but a lot slimmer. But I think they're close to 30 inches, I'm thinking. So, Kevin, I'll tell you on Instagram, but I'm leaving it a secret for the for the public a little while because I want to release a video. I don't want to take the thunder out too much. So, what size enclosure do garters need? Emmeline, is that what you're asking? So Sandy, garters slow down certainly when they get to, you know, maybe 2 to 3 years old, something like that. They slow down a lot, but they always are technically growing at a slow pace after that. Let's see. Yes, what size garters need? Okay. Well, that depends on what you get. Like if you get 2 males, for example, or 3 males, you can get away with a much smaller enclosure than you could if you had 3 females. And if you have a mixed sex enclosure too, you're going to need a little more space than if you just had males. But the males are so much smaller than the females. Seriously, you can do fine if you have males. I would say the minimum, and some people go smaller than this. You know, a lot of people say you can keep one male in a 10-gallon, and you can, but I prefer larger. I think if you have something of the footprint of a 20-gallon, especially if you have lots of stuff to climb on and stuff, that's sufficient. And you're going to get people that'll say, well, I keep mine in, 24 by 12 inch aquariums or bins, and they're fine. And sure, they can be fine in something that small, but bigger is better. So they'll definitely use it. They're very active creatures. So I would say minimum size for garters, if you can do it with males, is probably the footprint of a 20-gallon long. And if we've got females in there, you probably want to make it bigger. My enclosure that I currently have my females in is a 40-gallon breeder size. What brand is it? It's not an aquarium. It's a Zilla 40-gallon breeder front opening enclosure. That's what I've got mine in. So Mantis God, how much would they cost, the garters, and what is the care similar to? Is that what you're talking about, the garters? Let's see. Yeah, I think raising your own crickets, if you do a good job at it, I think they're going to be healthier than going to buy some. I have both purchased house crickets and bought them from the store, and I feel like they're total garbage when you buy them from the store, and they're likely to die at the least provocation. When I raise them, they do much, much better. And the banded crickets, I raise the banded crickets, and I feel like I give them a good diet, and they seem to be better. So, in 10 years, will Ruby be 40 feet long? That'd be awesome. I don't think she's going to top. I would be surprised if she got to 4 feet. That would be a really big red-sided garter. There are garters that get that big, but probably not her. Yeah, garters don't live a super long time. In the wild, maybe up to 5 years. In captivity, 10 years is a pretty good lifespan for them. And Ruby's already, 3 years old, 3.5, something like that. So maybe almost 4. I guess she's going to be 4 in August. So yeah, she probably won't be around in 10 years. That's true. And Emmeline, yes, garters definitely prefer to be in groups. If you can do a group of 3, it's awesome. They can do okay individually, but they really seem to prefer to be in groups, and they'll do same-sex groups just fine without problem. So if you don't want to breed them, getting a trio of males or females is a great way to go. So they're not super, super short-lived snakes, and they're not going to be dead in a few years like some of the others. There's some of the, is it tricolored hognose that are really super short-lived, but they are, they're not like, a ball python that can be more than 40, or a corn snake that can be easily 20. So yeah, they're not super long-lived. When's the next time I'm doing a pet room tour hobby? When I get time to. I want to do that. It's definitely something I like doing, and I want to do it. It's just, it takes forever to film it. Even if I film it in pieces, it takes forever. Just if I were just going to say, okay, I'm going to do this video about all my Armadillidium isopods, just that would take a long time. I think just to do my isopods, it's going to take at least 3 videos: an Armadillidium video, Porcellio video, and then everybody else video. And so it's going to take a while. And Random T, you're right. Natricines, which is the subfamily to which garters belong, do occasionally die. I fortunately have not had too many experiences like that, but it's not like I've kept a billion garters either. My last litter of garters, I was able to raise them all to sellable age with no issues, none that died. And I'm hoping the same will be true of these, but it does happen for sure. Yep. One way it's been expressed, people say that garters, when they reproduce, focus on quantity rather than quality, and you're just going to have some that don't work out. And that's a good point about the organic. We have pyrethrins and other organic pesticides being used there, and some of those can be detrimental to insects too, because they are insecticides, so it totally makes sense. And thank you for sharing, Arachnoboss. Appreciate it. And Pet Time, hey, welcome. Doing fairly well. So, so Kay is asking about how much we're selling these for. The people who got in early and locked in the price early, the early bird specials, it was 50, and then the people who came after that was 75. So early birds 50, and everybody after that 75 for the garters. No snakes, no spiders. Oh, sorry to hear it. Sorry to hear it, Emmeline. The early bird catches the snake. I like that. Well, they're fattening themselves up, aren't they? It's just fun to watch them do their thing. You know, I'm really lucky. Don't mean to brag, but I'm really lucky that my wife likes snakes a lot. Usually when I say, I'm so glad you like snakes, she says, I love snakes, which is pretty awesome. And she's friends with our snakes, and when we went to Clint's Reptiles and she got to hold the big pythons and boas and stuff, she was just eating it up, as were all my kids. It was just fantastic. Of course I was eating it up too. I love that. Of course. So it was really fun. I did that last year for my birthday, last summer, and it was one of the most fun birthday memories I have. Of course, I've been to Clint's Reptiles a number of other times, some to film videos and stuff too. But just to go there and just soak it all up and not have to worry about filming anything or anything like that was super fun. Oh, hey, there's Stormy. I don't know how to pronounce bus spark openings, but hopefully I did that right. But that's awesome. She has her own snake. And 503, there you go. Now your wife has her own too. That's fantastic. Oh, Emmeline, that's nice that he's changed. Cats, lizards, rabbits, fish. Making changes. Excellent. I hope the isopods arrive in good condition and everything. The post office has been so frustrating lately. Oh, I just saw a really nice yawn. I think it was off camera. So, Voidican, the stuff they're eating. Can explain it? Yes. It is chopped night crawlers, chopped pinkies, and chopped silversides mixed together. It's mostly earthworms and pinkies with a little bit of silversides added in. Any special babies this year? Well, I'm still kind of waiting to see what develops. Last year, Don of Don's Garter Snakes, he's the one who produced my adults. I brought him all of my little garters to get sexed, and he picked out some really nice high reds. And so I'm kind of waiting to see. These, like other garters, when they're born, you can't really tell what their full pattern is going to look like in their colors. So we'll see. I'm hoping pretty soon we'll get some more development. I can see if we've got some high reds in here. Oh, Pet Time! Congrats on the poison dart frogs. That's awesome. And yeah, I love how they eat too. They just kind of slurp it up. And I got a super sticker from Hey Who Stole Something. That's awesome. Thank you. Very glad. So Chevy Fish, When I am cutting pinkies, and I know this sounds kind of gross, but it's a fact of life when you're raising garters. When I chop pinkies, if I am chopping them for individual tongue feeding, I definitely cut them while frozen. When I am chopping them to feed in bulk, so to speak, like I am right now, I use herb scissors, and I use them when they are not frozen anymore. These cut up the earthworms and the pinkies and everything very, very effectively and very quickly. So that is what I use, not frozen, but I put them in a container that's deep enough so that the mess is minimized, because you don't want to do that on a flat surface. Just saying. And I totally agree that if you're not using the herb scissors and you don't put them in a deeper container, then definitely cut pinkies when they're frozen. Oh, so Arachnoboss is kind of a secret, although if you message me, I'll tell you the species of garter that I have, the other one. So, kind of a secret, but I'll let you know if you direct message me. So, Hey Who Stole, thank you for the super sticker again. Awesome. Yeah, I learned about the herb scissors 503. I think it was either Garter's Done Right. I think his name is Brett Dunn. I think he changed his channel name to Brett Dunn. It used to be Garter's Done Right. And I think it was either Emily from Snake Discovery or it was Brett Dunn. One of them, maybe both, talked about the herb scissors. And they work really well. Evelyn, I'm the garter in the middle who stays with the food when the big scary scissors appear. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Dan. Super chat here. Congrats on the clutter. You're aware of a definitive species morph for isopods? I need a Pokedex, but for isopods. That's awesome. I know several people are working on something of that sort, but I don't think anybody's finished yet that I know of. But it's definitely being worked on. I think part of the problem is we don't have standardization for the morphs, and there's still some confusion on a lot of the species. But people are working on it for sure. And thank you again for the donation. That's awesome. So Pedro Gonzalez, you caught Armadillidium vulgare and live in Puerto Rico. Not sure how to care for them ventilation-wise. Okay. They, Armadillidium vulgare, like a fair amount of ventilation. What I do for mine, typically, is I just drill holes along each side, like on the long side, one side of the long side, I drill like 1/16 inch holes, like 8 or 9 on the side of the 6 quart, and then maybe 5 or 6 holes on each of the short sides, and then nothing on the top usually, and that's usually sufficient. But where you live is probably a little more humid than where I live, so if you're not going to stack bins on top of it, you could put some holes up in the top too to improve the ventilation a little bit more. Because I'm guessing it's pretty humid there. I've never been there, but I'm guessing. So Zepmaster, oh, you had a baby emerald tree skink born with a small deformity that caused its tail to be curly. Oh, I see what you're asking, Zep, about the special babies, like babies that are visually unusual or have like an issue, like a special needs baby. I think I see what you're saying there. Not that I noticed. We had one that was born. When I looked and found that there were babies in there, there was one still inside the sac. The sac was still very moist and transparent, not like dried out or anything. And I thought it was dead when I saw it, but I went to pick it up and it started wiggling. So I just ruptured the sac very gently and it popped out and it was fine. Totally fine. So, yeah. Arachnoboard. You can feed them live things like earthworms or something like that. Totally. I do feed mine live earthworms. I generally don't give them live anything else. It's not particularly safe to give them live mice, especially older mice, but it can be done with younger mice, I suppose. Like pinkies could be done, but I never have. Live fish can be done as well. But I generally just give them live earthworms. My adults today, when I fed them, I gave frozen thawed mice, frozen thawed silver sides, and I gave my girls each a nightcrawler alive for dessert. So Frank, I see you found an albino something, but I'm not sure what. Oh, an albino decays brown snake. Wow, that's pretty cool. And hey, who stole my chips? Thank you so much for the super chat. And oh, and Arthropod Ambassador is a super chat. Oh, I appreciate that. I really do. That it brightens my day, that I brighten your day. So that is so cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. Arthropod Ambassadors, that's very cool. So, Monica, what is the easiest species of garter snakes to take care of? I don't think there are really very many that are that hard. I would say that they all tend to be fairly easy to take care of. I've heard that is it the checkered? I want to say the checkered garter is thought to be one of the easier ones from what I've read, but really, there might be some that are a little harder to breed or whatever, but most garters are pretty easy. And you're welcome, Pedro. So 40 to 50% relative humidity, that's not too bad. Just get those holes drilled in for cross ventilation. You'll probably be okay. So arachnoboards, arachnoboss, sorry, arachnoboards. As adults, the thing is, I wouldn't do. Well, this is a personal choice on my part. I have a corn snake that theoretically I could feed live mice to, but I don't because it's just safer for the snake. Sure, the snake would probably be okay 9 times out of 10, hunting on its own and killing it and whatnot, but it's not. Maybe that other 10th time it could be bitten or scratched or whatever and hurt. So I don't do it personally. Because I don't need to. I know that sometimes you get a snake that will only take live, and in those cases I can see it's a different story, but I haven't ever given my corn snake live mice because I haven't needed to. With the fish, you totally could give it live fish. If you did, I would recommend something like guppies, mollies, or platies. They're not going to hurt the snake, and if you're okay with giving it those live foods, guppies, mollies, platies, something like that would work fine. Don't do goldfish because goldfish do contain thiomanase. And if you also, when you're buying feeder goldfish, they're usually not very healthy, and you could be making your snake sick just by giving them, substandard fish of substandard health. So what I would highly recommend if you're going to do something like that is get a tank, go get some healthy guppies, platies, mollies, whatever, raise them for a generation or two until you have plenty of them going, and then you could use those. And they should reproduce well enough that you can use them as a food source occasionally, and you can totally do that. And they will fish for them. Last time when I had some picky eaters, I told you I don't generally feed mine live fish, but when I had some picky eaters in the last clutter, I gave them endlers, and they hunted them down. You put them in a little water dish, and they'll swim around, and they'll just reach into the water dish and grab them. So. Well, there you go, 503. If you had garters and extra mollies, you could totally have something to do with them. Wow, that hour went kind of fast. Just feeding these little garters. I didn't realize it was already about an hour. So I really appreciate everybody being here. And if you have any final questions you'd like to ask, then I'll try to cover those in the next couple minutes, and then I should probably close down. And there you go, Emmeline. If you have some garters, you could definitely have something to do with those extra endlers. Never have a problem with that. Yeah, and that's fair, Arachno Boss. I think that's a healthy way to look at it. So I totally get it. And thank you, 503. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. I'm glad I'm starting to feel better too. And thank you, Sandy. It does. I took a nap yesterday. I never take naps. because I can't. My body just doesn't let me take naps during the day. But yesterday, I came home from work, boom, took a nap because I needed it. So, Arthropod Ambassadors, am I doing another expo soon? There's one coming up in, I think, August. May or may not do that one. And there's another coming up in October. May or may not do that one. So I haven't committed yet to the October one, but I might. And I think it would be pretty cool. I sold a good amount of isopods and Supreme Isopod Chow when I was there, thanks to Wally setting me up. And now Supreme Isopod Chow is available on the website, and people are starting to buy that too. So I'm really excited about that. And thank you, Mentis God, Frank the Tank, Hobby Strange Pets, Isabel, Bugman. Live streams usually start at 5:30 Mountain Time. 5:30 Mountain Time. All right. I think this is about it. So thank you everyone for joining. I'll go put these guys down and they can finish their meal. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. And I will do that, Arthropod Ambassadors. Thank you. I'll send you a message, and I would love to have that updated care sheet. And Kevin, any kind of guppy species is fine to feed them. But I would say just the Poecilia reticulata or Poecilia wingi, which is the endlers, are probably the best. If you get something with long tails, they'll swim a little bit more slowly and maybe slightly easier for the garters to eat, but they can eat the wild types too. Just make sure they're healthy, and it doesn't really matter, and you're good to go. And thank you, Chevy Fish, and it was great having you all here. Monica, you got a question about the garters? Well, true guppies, Kevin, as far as I know, don't have thymidase. True guppies. Poecilia reticulata and Poecilia wingi don't. But there are some other fish that some people sometimes refer to as guppies that may have thymidase. Okay, so Monica, so like say if I had a baby garter snake, how many times would I feed every week? For an adult, how many times should I feed it every week as well? So Monica, you can feed the babies about 2 to 3 times a week, depending on what you're feeding, but approximately 2 to 3 times a week. And you feed the adults about 2 times a week, and you'll give bigger meals generally. So hopefully that helps. You can message me if you have any other garter questions. And thank you so much, everybody. And I'll catch you later. I'll have a video coming out on Friday.